Welcome to InCast. Enjoy Health Education's podcast for dedicated healthcare professionals, educators, and administrators who are passionate about making a difference, encouraging healthy outcomes, and finding innovative ways to engage and empower new families and staff. Here's your host, Debbie Young. She's been a childbirth educator and doula for almost 30 years and came to Enjoy based on her love for educating families.
Well, thanks for joining us, everyone. Today we have the special honor of having someone in studio, and I'd like to introduce Hillary. Hillary Menke is one of our doulas childbirth educators here in Northern Colorado, and I heard her speak recently, and I thought this would be a good thing to share with everyone. So Hillary, thanks for being with us. Today, we're just really two girls hanging out. So
love it.
Tell me a little bit about yourself, how you came into this work, and what your specialty is.
Yeah, so really kind of how I came to the childbirth world. My mom, who you know, she was a doula since I was in middle school, essentially. So we housed placentas in our freezer for clients and just talked about cervical dilation at dinner. And so that was just kind of our normal, was talking about childbirth. And then really my passion before reaching into the childbirth realm was in early childhood education and really finding ways to take the best care of the smallest kiddos. And so I've worked from infants to 6-year-olds. Once they turn 7, they kind of wig me out a little bit. They get big and ornery. So
they talk back.
They do talk back. Yeah, they get cynical and salty, and they're still very wonderful. But so I've worked with that age range for almost 10 plus years. And really it was with the birth of my own kiddo, my first kiddo, really digging into the childbirth realm and then figuring out, I can really support kiddos in their development by supporting their parents from the very, very beginning.
That's awesome.
And so that's where I came to the childbirth realm too, but really it's deeply, deeply rooted in a love and respect for our smallest people.
I love that. I love that. I have five smallest people who aren't small anymore.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. And I came to a similar path. Let's make sure that moms know and babies get treated correctly.
Yeah.
I do teach a childbirth class and a newborn class, and I think some of the things we're going to talk about today might inform me, and I might do things differently because just talking to you and listening to that video that I watched, the webinar with you, I realized I don't necessarily model what I need to. I teach how to change the diaper, how to swaddle. We talk about sleep and all the things that traditional newborn classes talk about.
Yeah.
But I have to tell myself, can I borrow your baby?
Please, yes.
This is Abby?
Baby Abby, yes.
Okay. So when I'm using the smaller model that our listeners might understand that go in the pelvis. Yeah. But when I do that and I'm holding the pelvis with one hand, then I take the baby like this. And I always say, don't do this to your baby. But then I put the baby in and twist the baby around.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, maybe you could teach me how to do that better while we're talking today.
Well, and I'll tattle on myself too, because of course in the childbirth classes you want to show the different rotations of baby as they descend through the pelvis. And so since you're talking about the baby with the fontanelles on top and it's the really hard head and the funky body, I do the same thing. But really I think showing respect for babies in class when we're teaching class, when it is specifically a newborn class, something that you could do is really create that sacred space of treating those babies so gently. So for example, when I am teaching the specifically newborn care class, I don't leave babies just out. We have ottomans in our lobby where we teach, and so I don't leave the babies out. It's always during a break that I bring out the babies one by one and hand them to the parents. The parents never see the closet of babies back there. So then, even though we are just pretending, and it does feel kind of silly and awkward at first, I do kind of create that little bubble of, okay, this is how you treat that. And then it's a little bit of a separation from the pelvis baby and the newborn baby.
Right. I love that. I love the bringing them out and presenting them. I bet that some parents get goosebumps when you do that.
I hope so. And it's really sweet because usually it's the dads that hop up, because I'll bring the babies out and I'll say, hey, may I hand one of you a baby? And it's usually the dad that jumps up, and then it's okay. Then we get to pass off, oh, make sure you support the head and the bum. And then they're holding him so appropriately the rest of the class period that I have them with. They're not flopping them around or anything. So they're practicing truly.
Right. So, okay, that's two things I'm going to do differently. But let's talk about how newborns have been traditionally thought of. Like in my era, I believe my mom said that we just thought that babies were a blob, and we didn't show any respect, we cared for them.
Yeah, you met their needs.
And my mom cared for me, obviously. But tell me, from that history, how we came to be here today.
Yeah, so really children weren't really valued a whole heck of a lot. They were almost more nuisances.
Oh yeah.
And then because they didn't carry a lot of explicit memory from those days, it's like, well, like you said, they're blobs that are empty, we need to fill them up. And since they don't remember this stuff, maybe they don't necessarily feel pain. And so for like little boys getting circumcised, we didn't give them any sort of pain medication because, they won't remember it. But what the neuroscience is finding more and more is that children are coming very equipped into the world. They're very capable. Yeah. And two, in terms of their memory, it's not the explicit stuff, what they can put words to later, it's the implicit. And so how we treat babies actually informs them for the rest of their lives, because they'll remember how we made them feel, and they'll remember if they felt they could trust their caregiver, if they felt held and loved
and
by
safe.
their and safe.
Yeah.
Or they'll remember the opposite, where they're constantly looking for threat because they didn't receive that kind of care, and then that informs the rest of their lives.
Right. So even prenatally, because in my childbirth class I talk about playing with your baby, and we do the flashlight game and we do the tapping game, and I say this is the time to start connecting with your baby, and if you're listening, your baby's going to tell you things. And I get into the point where babies don't slow down at the end of labor, and if your babies have slowed down and you recognize it because you were already in tune,
you've made that connection.
That's the time to go and seek help. So I think there's a lot of things that educators do that help parents have aha moments, and that's just one of them.
Yeah.
So.
And may I ask you, what is the tapping game? I haven't heard of that.
Oh, well, can I?
You may, yes, please.
So we have April, right?
End of April, yes.
Okay, so
I'm expecting.
We're filming in February. So the tapping game is just like, when they're in an active phase.
Yeah.
And just doing some taps.
Little taps.
And dad can do that, mom can do that. And sometimes if the baby's awake, they're like, what's that over there? What's happening over there? And they'll actually come and they'll push their foot up against it, or they may respond by doing some kicks right in that same area.
So it's funny, you were doing that right there, and I felt a little roll, just very subtle,
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
Oh, how cool.
So
thank you.
What an awareness.
Yeah.
I mean, now you as an educator forever, right, have just realized I can play with my baby.
Yeah, I
Isn't that
can't
great?
see them. I can't. And then too, what a testament that they're already coming so equipped. They're not just empty little people. They're so very aware, even though they're kind of tucked away.
Right.
There.
Yeah, that's very cool. That's very cool.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. So tell me about, because your past experience before education, before childbirth education, was neuroscience, and you were thinking about the neuroscience of the little one. Tell me more about how you're connecting those two things.
Yeah, so really it's less the neuroscience and more just the wonderful places and spaces I got to work with. They were very concerned with not how can we just support their academic well-being, what can they accomplish numbers, alphabet-wise, but really how do we support these kids in a very warm, loving environment to support all of their systems. So, for example, one of the big things that they worried about was, are the children warm enough? Because in their physiology, if they're getting rid of all their warmth, they're trying so hard to stay warm, they don't have all that energy to feed their brains and to problem solve and be creative. And so it was working in these spaces that also considered children's movement, for example, too, and how making sure that they had plenty of space for free movement. And again, digging back into the neuroscience and just what I've learned in those trainings is that every free move that a kiddo can make, it actually feeds their memory, their cognition, their emotional learning. And so that's kind of the basis for a little person learning.
Oh, we don't need to get into this today, but swaddling, that might be something that we could talk about later.
We could, yeah.
Yeah, because
it's an interesting conversation for sure.
It is, yeah. And we went from swaddling till they're 1 to swaddling till they're 6 months, swaddling till they're 3 months, and now suggested swaddling till they're 1 month or can roll over. But the problem is that we're still cocooning
keeping them
them.
Cocoon, yeah.
Yeah, is that a problem? We could talk about this.
I think it's kind of like a pacifier where it can be a really lovely tool, especially like when parents are like at their wit's end and they need their kiddo to be soothed, and that being close in and feeling pressure on their joints is very like soothing and nourishing to them, but also balancing it out, like especially as kiddos grow more aware and they're awake for longer periods of time. That's the time to really play, and that's what that free movement is allowing them to lay flat on their back, and they can figure out, oh hey, these hands belong to me, and I can move this way and look at this.
Yeah.
I can see the dust particles coming in through the window, and that's so fascinating to me. So that's
and that time that they first realize that toe belongs to them.
It's a magical day, isn't it? They're like, wait, that's mine. Yeah.
That's really cool. Really cool. Thanks for that. We have a sweater game. Can you explain the sweater game? And this is a good game to play in the classroom, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about that.
So the purpose behind this game is, I find it's very hard to care for somebody if you haven't first tried to walk around in their shoes first. And so this is a game that I use with parents to allow them to empathize with their kiddo.
Okay.
And so what I'll do is I'll have one parent play as the baby. So I'll be the baby in this situation.
Okay.
We'll put on my sweater. And so I'll just kind of sit here and you'll be the parent.
Okay.
And so it comes in two parts. The first part is putting the sweater on. And so I tell the parent, okay, you're going to the pediatrician's office for the first time. It's the best pediatrician in all the land, and therefore, if you're late, there is a hefty late fee. You need to avoid it. It's cold outside. You got to slap this sweater on this kid as fast as you can.
Okay.
So, if you would be so kind.
Okay.
And I can sit a little closer to you, too.
Okay. All right, we're going to just, come on, we got to go. We got to this has to happen now. I'm not paying that late fee. Get your hand in there. Come on, get your hand in there. Let's do it. Come on, let's do it. Okay.
And very quick and efficient, right?
I did it.
I
accomplished my task.
And you avoided the late fee. Congratulations. And so
I can buy you more toys.
You can, exactly. Thank you. Everybody benefits. And then for the part two, I have the babies sit just with their sweater-ons, and then I call the parents back kind of into a hallway again, and I say, okay, you're home from the pediatrician's office. Everybody's fine and healthy. You have all the time in the world. Now you need to take baby's sweater off. And so before you do anything, I'd like you to tell baby what you're going to do before you do it.
Okay.
So just as an example on you, like, hey baby, we're gonna take your sweater off now. I'm gonna start with this arm. Are you ready? Okay, here we go. And then just little by little, narrating everything you do before you do it. And then, I don't know what we'll do, but we're the parents, and like, however you know that your baby feels special. So maybe after the sweater is off, you give them a kiss on the head, or if you're more of like an attaboy couple, give them an attaboy and say good job. But make sure that you end taking the sweater off with them knowing that they are loved by you.
Okay.
So I don't know if you'd like to.
Okay.
Try the same.
Oh, so is it okay if we go ahead and take your sweater off? All right. I'm going to just pull it from here, and we're going to bring it down your arm. And, let's get your little hand out there. All right. Here we go. Oh, look, your hand. Perfect. Now we're going to come around here. I'm going to use this hand now too, okay? All right, so we're going to pull that down. Oh, pop, there's your hand. All right.
Debbie, that was so delightful.
Can you tell I have children?
You do, yes, yes. And so then what we'll do is after the sweaters have been put on and taken off, I'll circle back around and I'll say, okay, I want to hear from the babies. How did that first time feel to you?
So how did that first time feel to you?
A little disorganized. I felt like I was being yanked around a little bit. I felt like I was in trouble, like because I was inconveniencing you. And so that...
And babies pick up on their parents' franticness.
They do.
Or calmness, right?
Entirely.
So if my baby cries the whole time to the doctor's office, maybe it's because I made them feel frantic.
That could be, yeah. Who knows? Yeah. Well, and then there's so many reasons why babies would cry, but that could potentially be one of the reasons.
So I probably could have. I don't know that. I mean, nobody was timing that, but I would doubt that there was very many more seconds in the gentle approach than the frantic approach.
Well, and what's funny is in most of the classes that I've done this in, it's actually faster when they go slower. Yeah, they're not trying to jam limbs that are just kind of limp and hanging there. Instead, it's more intentional.
Oh, yeah.
And then what's helpful, too, is the act of talking it out. It almost helps you pre-plan a little bit. It's like, okay, here's the plan. We've talking through it. So now I know how I'm actually going to take this sweater off this kid because I've played it through out loud.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a helpful tool for parents as well.
Right. And, you know, to be honest, I felt so much calmer, like less stressed.
Yeah.
So even the parent is going to benefit from that.
Oh, yeah.
The calmness of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about taking that breath before not wanting to be late and just like still doing it gentle.
Yeah. Well, and one of my favorite infant and toddler researchers, her name's Dr. Emmy Pickler. She said, happy is the baby whose caregiver moves ceremoniously slow. So slipping back into the neuroscience, what we know now too is that for the first about 3 years of life, babies' brain waves operate on a slower, lower level than ours. And so it takes them a lot longer to process stimuli and things that are coming at them. So when the parent is putting on the sweater very fast, that's a lot of them to take in all at once. It can be really overwhelming. They have not the second to pick up on what's going on. But then when we go slow, we're actually working more with those slower, more mellow brain waves on a pace that they can actually register.
And one thing that, when you said that, I just noticed that the first time I looked at your arm, I looked at your shoulder, I did not ever look at your face. And the second time I looked at your face, I asked for that approval. I had to get that approval, especially with a newborn like Abby. I had to get that approval from the face, right? So the connection that of just putting on or taking off a sweater is continuing to be built.
Yeah, and you're building trust. Like, especially that second time around, you brought humor in and you made me giggle a couple of times. Like, that builds trust between people. And it's the same thing with a parent and a baby.
Right. And I, you know, just because I'm also a childbirth educator, I think about when we're practicing technique in the classroom, and like I've showed the hand massage, and Dad's like, I'm like, wait, we need to be slow, you know, and I think it's the same thing. It's that trust and intentionality that when we can do something for mom in a calm manner, in a slower manner, kind of her almost fetal brain kicks in.
It does kick in, entirely.
So cool. Think about the processing well, you just mentioned it, in their mind is slower than ours. But even as a newborn, how they're treated, how they're respected, how they're held, that all does go to build those brain synapses too, right?
It does, yes. Well, and what you were talking about before, how you felt more calm and bringing parents back to a state of calm. So if you can imagine, babies have two islands in their head. There's the island of distress and the island of calm.
Oh.
And when they're first born, there's not a synapse, there's not a bridge between distress and calm. So what they do is they borrow our calm, regulated adult mind. And the more we respond to their cries, the more we build those connections, those trusting connections with them, making eye contact, talking to them while we're taking care of them. We're showing them how to build that bridge between distress and calm. And so that's another way that kind of our perception of children has changed, where before you need to learn to be independent on your own, you need to cry it out. But what the neuroscience shows is that when we do respond to babies' cries, we show them over and over how to find distress to calm, distress to calm.
Oh, that's such a good skill.
Yeah. And
some
then
adults need that too.
I know, and that's the thing, is that as you build that stronger and stronger, yes, it's kind of an investment in your time at the beginning, but then when they're on the playground, when they're 5 and they get into their first little argument with their friends, they can call on that bridge that you help them build from distress to calm. And then when they have their first breakup, when they're a teenager, they have that distress to calm. And then too, if they can't find their calm, they still know that they can come to you as somebody who can help them out. And isn't that what parents would want?
Calm.
Yeah.
I love that concept. I really love it. Thanks for that. All right. So we were talking about modeling as educators or doulas or whatever professional when we're with parents in the classroom, in the home, whatever. I think I'll just share this little thing because I do train doulas, right?
Yeah.
So one time I was training in a hospital, and it was pre-hospitals having birth balls. There was a time that hospitals didn't have
the birth
balls.
balls.
I'm as old as Moses, so anyway, so I had my birth ball and I had my bag, and where was I going to put my baby? So I actually had my baby like this walking through the hospital, and people were staring at me, and I'm like, why are they staring at me? And I'm like, oh wait. So I stopped and I'm like,
let's regroup here.
How am I going to do this? But I was a terrible role model until people started looking at me like I had 7 heads.
Yeah.
What other ways can we make sure that we're role modeling for, being consistent and loving to our babies?
Yeah, of course. So I mentioned before that I never let parents see the closet of babies. I bring them out one by one, very intentionally. It's not armloads of babies. And then, very similar to what you were talking about, carrying them by the feet, there was one educator I was observing, and she was wonderful, but she talked a lot with her hands. And so she was kind of flopping baby around a lot with that. And so really what I'll do is, I would hold the baby exactly throughout the whole entirety of class. Hold baby, bop baby, bounce them. And then back to talking to baby and including them in what's happening with their body, being respectful of them. Sometimes it takes class time, and I'm not the best at slowing down always, but when, say, for example, I'm getting ready to demonstrate a diaper change or a swaddle, saying, all right, baby, we're going to lay you down now and get you in a blanket. You ready? Okay, here we go. So then having them see, too, that I'm talking to baby the entire time that I'm handling them and using them.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember my niece had a baby, and she was doing very similar to what you mentioned. And my dad, who was in his 90s, he's like, oh, what's that about? That baby can't understand her. So we're teaching a new generation, and we're teaching them to be respectful and loving of their babies.
Yeah. Well, and really what's amazing about these little people too is that the more you have these little rituals around caregiving, so asking if they're ready to be picked up before you pick them up, even like a couple weeks old, you'll start to see them kind of like look at you intense a little bit, like, yes, I am ready to be picked up. Or they'll start to kick their legs because they know it's that exciting time they get to be with mom and dad or caregiver, whoever. So you'll start to notice those little things that there's so much that they understand.
Right.
Yeah.
And we know how smart they are. So.
Me too.
My daughter recently had a baby, and she's very much on your wavelength. And so when, like, she was here recently, and somebody said, let me hold the baby, and she said, well, let's ask the baby first. And so she said, hey, Maeve, do you want to go to Auntie whatever? And if Maeve was like backing up, and she said, let's try again later. So respecting even, you know, this 3-month-old baby to choose whether they wanted to come out of mom's arms or not. So
well, and then you almost think about that later on down the road, like a baby who's been treated with so much respect for their body, and then somebody comes at them who is bringing disrespect to their body, whether that's you know boys in a fight or heaven forbid, like
more terrible things.
More terrible things that you can imagine. But then you have that compass of, I know how I need to be respected. You're not offering that to me, and now I can go. So that's another way that you're building this little protective bubble with your baby as they grow.
And even as a grandmother, I don't say, come on, give Grammy a kiss, because that would be up to them.
Yeah. Well, and you want them to want to love on you, right? You don't want a reluctant love.
Force. I'm going to force you to do that.
Yeah.
So I think as professionals, we know, but we need to teach that, because not everybody knows, and a lot of people weren't treated with that respect. And so it's not going to be intuitive for them.
No, and it does feel awkward, like to talk to a baby, even a pretend baby.
Right.
But sometimes, especially to somebody you don't really see them going back and forth with you, but the more you watch them and the more time you spend talking with them.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay. So when you're teaching in class, do you have any specific physical tools maybe, or when you were just explaining that, I thought, what if we wear a baby wrap and have our baby in the baby wrap until we say, okay, now we're going to do diapering. It's okay if I'm going to get you out and put you down. I think that would be kind of cool.
Ooh, so here, tell me again, what
So you were just saying that you held your baby and you rocked with your baby, and the woman, especially with the two, needing to use her hands. And I do, because I do sign language a lot. And I don't want to do sign language and drop the baby. I could wear the baby in the class as another way to role model.
Absolutely, you could.
That would be fun. Now you have me thinking. See, so many things. I need a pencil. So, and how do we teach parents to be calm when they're at the end of their rope? And is it okay if parents cry with their baby?
Yes, I would say yes. I know that there are some circles and spaces where you don't show that to kiddos, because maybe that might freak them out a little bit, but kiddos need you to be your authentic self. And so if you're at the end of your rope, sometimes you might need to maybe weep a little bit with your kiddo. And something that I really appreciate about Enjoy's content is that you guys have that whole section of, you can step away for 10 minutes and here's how to cool down. And so that's a conversation that I make sure there's a lot of space for within the classes that I teach of, okay, I can promise you that within the first weeks and months, you're going to be so worn out from not getting a lot of sleep. You're going to be emotionally worn out because you're trying to figure out, okay, who am I as mom? Who am I as dad? How do we work together? Are we doing everything right for this kiddo? It's a lot. And so it's almost a guarantee that they will reach that point of frustration. So I have them pair off with each other and talk about, okay, this is what I'm going to do for 10 minutes. I'm going to lay baby down in a safe place, and I'm going to go ... I'm going to go love on the dog a little bit, go pet the dog. I'm going to go take a quick 10-minute shower and then come back. So knowing and giving permission too that they need to first take care of themselves. Because again, baby's going to borrow that emotionally regulated brain, and if parents are dysregulated, sometimes that exacerbates the problem.
Distresses the baby.
Yeah.
I love that. I love creating a game plan ahead of time, and also normalizing the fact that it's probably going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
When you're teaching in the classroom, if you can just say, this is probably going to happen to you, so here's some tips. I love that.
Well, and then cluing each other into on like this might be the kind of support that I need when I'm at the end of my rope. I might need to call you at work.
Right.
I might need you to tap me out and go take care of the baby for that time.
Right. And create a list of other people who can also, can grandma come over?
Absolutely.
Did that neighbor who loves on your baby anyway, could she come over?
Absolutely.
That type of thing. So, okay, perfect. All right. And then we were talking earlier about free movement. Now, here's this baby, and if Abby were awake, she could be moving freely in your lap.
Yes.
Tell me more about what other kind of ideas we have around free movement.
So really, essentially all it is, and this, excuse me, I realize is very countercultural to us because we have babies contained, whether that's in a bouncer at a 45-degree angle, or, we really want them to sit up and be part of the action with us, so we'll put them in like the boppies or like the little donut seats that they have.
Yeah.
But really, all babies need is just a safe space on the floor or in their bassinet, or we could even do here.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily, Abby, if you were real, I wouldn't necessarily put you on a couch. I'd probably put you more on the floor, but for our purposes here. And really, just lay them down on their backs and stay close by, especially in those first 3 months. Proximity is number one for babies, so having parent just lay there on the floor with them, watch them, and see what amazing things they're peeking at.
And play the game. Boop, 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 boop.
Exactly. Well, and that's another thing like about our society is if we feel like we're not actively doing something, then we're doing something wrong. And so I feel this too, like when I first lay down on the floor with the baby, it's like, okay, we're here, what are we gonna do now? Do you need me to like give you a finger play? Do you need me to sing you a song? But really it's just calming yourself down enough to just observe your kiddo. And so many parents, they wondered, there's that joke of, well, babies don't come equipped with a manual, right? I would argue against that, where if you slow down enough to watch your baby, observe
they
your
are
baby.
the manual.
They are the manual. They'll tell you exactly what they need.
Right.
And so playing with your baby by just sitting back and watching them is all that you really need to do.
Yeah. We have one video clip in one of the Enjoy pieces that the baby is underneath of the tent of toys, that, and then the dad is laying on the floor next to him, and just talking and showing the baby the toys, and it's very dear.
Yeah, for sure.
And we can let you be free. We can let you be free. Yeah. And the dog comes over and licks the face. No, I'm just
yes. That happens too.
Yeah, cool. I'm going to have you scoot away this way a little bit more. Perfect.
Go, love.
And then I think that when you're wrapping up your your newborn care class, like what are your last takeaway pieces for that?
Usually at the end of every class, what I share is a little bit on attachment research and attachment theory. And really, sugars, I'm not remembering her name, the researcher. But
it's okay. We'll put it in the show notes.
Sounds good.
You can send it to me.
I want to say Allison Gopnik, but I could be wrong. But really, what the research on attachment parenting, so having a child securely attached to a parent is a great indicator of their overall mental, emotional, cognitive success as they grow, where they've securely attached to a caregiver. And what they found looking at these bundle of caregivers is some breastfed, some bottle fed, Some co-slept, some had baby away in their crib in their own room. And really, those choices are just extras.
Right.
What matters is, does your baby know that you delight in them? And it's wild that the research actually used that word delight. As long as your kid knows that you're delighting in them, everything else is fluff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So when you walk in the room and the baby's face lights up, that's delight, right?
Indeed. And your face lights up too. Like, you show
say,
that you're excited.
On the other hand, even if it's been a stressful day, remembering as a parent and teaching parents to remember, when you walk in a room and see your baby, leave all that behind and just delight. I love that. Delight
in your kiddo.
In your baby. So that's very good. All right. Anything else any other tips that you think are important for our listeners who are educators, doulas, lactation, midwives, the whole gamut, kind of?
I don't think so. Really, just being worthy of imitation.
Yeah.
So really, talking to the children that you're working with, or talking to the baby dolls that you're working with, so you're really setting that example, and you're also calm in all that you're doing, so that you're demonstrating that. And if you do find, and maybe this is a piece of advice I need to take in my own class, of like, oh, it took me 10 minutes to set up this class really fast, I should probably stop and take a couple breaths, maybe in front for all these people to see, so that they can see how coming back down, and they feel the difference. They feel the difference too in starting a hectic class versus calming down. So demonstrating that.
Well, I love that, because that's good for any class that you're like, let's just take a minute.
I need to take a breath. Why don't you guys take a breath with me? Come, let's do it.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for being with us today. I appreciate your wisdom, and I thank you for bringing Abby with you today.
Oh, she was happy to come.
So,
thank you so much,
take
Debbie.
Care.
Thank you.
This episode of InCast is complete. Tune in regularly to hear more insightful conversations. And be sure to visit enjoyhealtheducation.com to see how Enjoy can help you inspire families and staff through our diverse childbirth and parenting teaching solutions. Or call us at 1-800-326-2082. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the official position of Enjoy or its employees. This podcast is intended for informational and educational purposes only, and does not serve as medical advice, a basis for diagnosis, or recommendation of treatment.